Hello, my name is Arden Lembryk.
And I'm Victoria Aguilera.
We are representing Wayne Valley's Marketing 2 class. This year, we have partnered with the Wayne Alliance by making podcasts that address the highest trending topics of high schoolers all around.
Wayne Alliance is an educational resource in Wayne, New Jersey that promotes a safe, healthy, and responsible lifestyle.
Today, we'll be talking about a more controversial topic such as substance abuse. We'll be joined by Miss Mapp, who will be answering some questions created by your Wayne Valley students.
Substance abuse has been an increasing problem for teenagers. A little more than 70% of teens in high school have said they drank alcohol.
And or have done drugs. So now we are here with
Mrs. Mapp, Student Assistance Coordinator.
Okay, Miss Mapp. So what is the process that happens to students when the school finds out that they're under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
Well, the first step is that a teacher or a staff member has to report them because they're concerned about their health and their well-being. As a result of that, they're taken to the nurse's office and the nurse checks their vital signs just to see if they're okay. And then a parent or guardian is notified and they have to be picked up and taken to have a drug test. And once that drug test is done, they can come back to school they can come back into school after 24 hours. And then we just wait for the results. And depending on what the results are, that determines the next steps.
That was perfect. How can abusing substances ruin students' plans for the future as like an athlete or just a student at a school?
Well, one of the things that happens when students are suspended from school for using substances is that they lose a lot of class time, and sometimes that puts them back academically, and it just makes them feel like it's one more thing to catch up with, and that oftentimes can be problematic. And the other part is that in order for a student to come back to school, they have to test negative. So if they're a chronic user of, say, marijuana, that stays in their system for long periods of time, or it can stay in their system, and that sometimes prolongs their ability to return to school.
Thank you. I didn't even know that.
Okay.
So what's the process like after someone is drug tested? Like, does it go on your record?
So in the school, we definitely have disciplinary records, but in terms of going to college, I don't know if that's specifically one of your concerns, but generally speaking, it is my understanding that when someone is applying for a college, the school might ask them if they have any disciplinary issues, and it really is up to the student to determine what they want to share. So the school does not share necessarily that somebody has been in trouble for violating the drug and alcohol policy.
So next we're going to talk about the Be Proud program. Do you think it's a good thing because some parents come in and want to sign their kids up, but just in case their kids have done something, they don't want them to be in trouble with the school? So what do you think about that?
I think that's a great question. So here's the thing. The Be Proud program was intended to be a program that allows students to say, no, thank you. I don't want to get in trouble, so I'd rather not partake in whatever the activity is that involves drugs and alcohol. So that is the idea of it. So oftentimes in 8th grade, parents sign their students or their children up because they know they're coming into high school. They know that they're going to be asked sometimes to do things that a parent wouldn't want their child to do, drugs. I think that the program is a good program for someone who really is wanting to not use, but they have to work the program. And that means that when you're in a situation, whether it's a party or just hanging out with friends who may be people who use, you have to be really willing to say, I don't want to get in trouble. So it's supposed to be an example of what you can do to avoid trouble. Unfortunately, many parents do have a sense that their children are using, and if the child is tested randomly in the Be Proud program, it becomes a little bit problematic because the parent might have already known, but now that the school is aware, it causes problems for the parent because now maybe they don't always want the school to know what they had already known before the child was tested. That said, the goal of the program is supposed to be to raise awareness so that you can establish communication and really get on the front end of your child's use to try to put some things in place, whether it be counseling, whether it be just more family communication, whether it be education, so that your child has reasons to question their decision making moving forward.
So as far as like drooling in the bathroom and like underage drinking and peer pressure, do you think that has gone up in the past few years, or do you think that now that, especially with the drool, that a lot of problems have been coming out in the news, do you think now that it's decreasing, or it's still pretty much the same?
I would say with underage drinking, I really couldn't be certain, but I think that that's probably been the same. I think drinking has been, pretty consistent throughout. But absolutely with the juuling and just vaping in general, I would have to 100% say that the numbers have gone up. And sadly, I'm concerned that even with all the things that are going on in the news, people don't necessarily think that it's going to affect them negatively. So while hopefully it's affecting some people, and I've seen a lot of things on TV where they're trying to raise awareness with some good, cool commercials, just like they used to do with cigarette smoking. I'm hoping that at some point it'll have some impact. But sadly, just with the kids that get in trouble in our school alone for being in the bathroom, like I know a lot of students don't even want to go into the bathroom because they don't want to be a part of the whole juuling epidemic. So I don't think that the numbers are going down.
Do you have any helpful advice you would give a high school student who's just starting for peer pressure and how they can stay strong during the high school years?
I guess I would say that having a good, strong peer group that ideally is making healthy choices is always a good thing. I think being involved in extracurricular activities, and I want you to know I'm not naive enough to believe that people who are in extracurricular activities don't abuse drugs and alcohol, because I know that that's true too. But I think that, there's this notion of natural highs, and some people find their highs by playing soccer or by being in cheer or SDA and that sort of thing. And I think if you have things that can keep you from being bored, which is often one of the reasons why people decide to use in the first place, because they feel like they don't have other things to do, even if it just keeps you from doing it during those times, you might be a little bit further ahead than somebody who just goes home and gets high because maybe they're feeling depressed or they just don't feel that they have a strong connection with other people. The other thing that I recommend, and this is, again, easier said than done, but is really trying to be honest with parents and family so that you have a network that you can go to in the event that something does come up and that you do possibly feel like you have a problem. Ideally, you would want to be able to talk to the people that care about you, because those are the people that would likely be able to get you the help that you might need.
So we're going to wrap it up today with Miss Mapp. Thank you so much for being here.
I want to thank both of you. I'm really proud of you. I think that this is exactly what our school needs, people who are willing to be leaders and who are willing to use their skills to raise awareness. That's what this is all about for me. So I just thank you for even asking me.
No problem. Now let's take it on with our next guest.
Hi, how you doing? This is Rick Vanderclock. I'm a corporal at the Wayne Police Department.
Hello, Rick.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for asking.
Good. As people go to high school, they're getting their license and they're going out for parties and they're making bad decisions on drinking and driving. What happens when you're stopped and you're under the influence?
Okay, well, that's a good question. And there's several things that can happen to you. So I did a little bit of research and I was looking at some of the new laws and some of the new fines that come out. And for DWI, years ago, the limit used to be 0.10% blood alcohol content, and they've now lowered it to 0.08%. So on a first offense, if you're caught with DWI, you will lose your license for 3 months. You can be given a jail term of up to 12 hours and no more than 30 days. It's very expensive. There's lots of fines. There's a fine of between $250 and $400. Your insurance, which a lot of people complain about their insurance going up. Well, your insurance will surcharge you $1,000 per year for 3 straight years. So that's a $3,000 insurance surcharge on top of the fines. We now have an ignition lock that gets put on your car, and there's a time limit for that, and that is between 6 and 12 months, and that's a device that attaches to your vehicle. You also have to attend 2 6-hour drug an alcohol driver resource intoxicated class that you have to attend. You have to go to 2 of those. And if you are above a 0.10%, there's extended and enhanced fines on that. Now, also, if by chance you get stopped and you're arrested in a school zone, there's more fines that are put on that. So depending on where you get caught, there's even more surcharges on that. Yeah. And that goes up. There's an additional fine between $500 and $800. The suspension on that in a school zone goes up from 3 months to 1 to 2 years.
Wow.
So how would you like to be 17? You just get your license and you go out and you go to a party and you get stuck. You get arrested and now you lose your license until you're, potentially could be 19 years old.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Is there a difference between like a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old when they get pulled over, like for a DWI? Like, are the punishments different?
No, because you're both underage. So if the drinking age in New Jersey is 21 years old, that's the legal limit. So if you are below age 21, the penalty is the same for if you're 17 or 18. I think you're asking me because 18 is an adult, but not according to a DWI, 21-year-old.
So then is there a difference between a 21-year-old and then someone who's underage?
Yes. There's 20 if you're under 21, if you get stopped for DWI, if you have, remember I was telling you between 0.08, if you're 0.001, for example, which literally could be maybe a couple sips of beer or something. If you register anything when you're underage 21, you'll be charged with that.
Wow.
Now, and I was also looking in here, we were just talking about the first offense. There's a second and third. So just as if you have a second one, the penalties and the fines are just greatly enhanced on it. And for example, on a second offense, on your insurance surcharge, it goes from $1,000 a year to $3,000 per year for 3 years. So think about that. That's a $9,000 increase on your insurance. If it's your third offense, it goes to $4,500 per year. 180 days in jail, 10-year loss of license. Oh my God. So I know a lot of high school kids are excited to get their car when they're 17 and going out driving and stuff like that. But if you have 3 DWI offenses, you'll lose your license for 10 years.
You're 27 years old. Yeah, wow, and that's what a waste.
Big time waste.
Do you think substance abuse in Wayne is like increasing or like decreasing?
Well, substance abuse for alcohol or for drugs?
I would say both.
Okay, well, my answer would be I would say that it is a problem in town. There's a issue with heroin. We have kids that we've seen at a young age, very young age, trying drugs and heroin, and it starts with painkillers, Oxycontin, which is a prescription drug, which is similar to heroin. So kids that have gotten injuries for sports, or if they break their arm or their leg, doctors years ago were giving them this type of medication, and kids were getting addicted to it, and then they can't get their hands on it, so they revert to heroin. So heroin's a big problem. And by the way, heroin is a drug that when you take that, you're instantly addicted to it. Yeah. It's something that you can't just try it. I know kids at this age like to maybe have a glass of wine, or if their parents allow them, that kind of stuff. People try things. People try vaping. Yeah. You can't try heroin. Heroin is a drug that will instantly make you addicted to it, and it's nearly impossible to break it and get off of it, and it ruins your life.
Yes, it does. Will colleges, like, as they look at like your transcript and stuff, will they see if you got caught for DWI or any like drugs in school or out of school? Okay,
so the answer to that is colleges will do a background check on applicants. So they're probably going to know that you have been arrested or you have a record for whatever type of criminal offense and or DWI that shows up on your record. But the good news is that more than likely that's not going to be the single factor that will knock you out of college. Okay, but the answer is they will know about it. Now, if you're older, if you get arrested, it ends up in the newspaper, it ends up on Yahoo and web pages and on the internet. So the story, or if it was a private matter, it isn't so private anymore because everybody has access to the internet now, so it goes around. And colleges know that, so they'll look on social media posts and stuff like that. So they'll look and do some research on you. They'll find it, but it probably won't be enough to knock you out of getting accepted into school.
So thank you, Officer Vanderclock, for coming out here today and teaching the public and our students of Wayne Valley about these problems in Wayne.
You're welcome. I'm glad I was able to take a couple minutes out of my day to stop and give you some information. And just remember, kids, make the right decisions, okay? If you're out at a party and you see people drinking, don't make the mistake of getting behind the wheel and driving. It's a very expensive and dangerous thing that can happen, and I see it. Unfortunately, I've seen it tons of times, and we want to stop that from happening. Nowadays, everybody has an Uber app on their phone, so that's a new thing. They didn't have that when I was a kid, so you can do stuff like that to call. But be smart enough to not get behind the wheel and drive a car when you're intoxicated or if you're under the influence of any type of narcotics.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today.
We hope you learned something today and continue to make good decisions throughout the rest of your life.
Thanks again for all of our guest speakers for coming in and talking to us and taking time out of their day.
Make sure to follow us on Valley is One.
And subscribe to our YouTube channel, Wayne Valley TV. Thank you.
Bye.
This has been Arden Lembryk
And Victoria Aguilera.